welcome to Cooking for Baby. I want to talk about a good morning. Now, a good morning for you is probably 8 hours sleep, maybe breakfast in bed, a nice luxurious bath. But actually you're a mum or a dad now, so reality kicks in, and I'm sure your little one has another idea about what a good morning is for them. Now, breakfast is a really important habit to get into, so it's an important lesson in good eating for your little one, but it's also should remind you that a good breakfast can help you get through the day as well. So, what is a good breakfast? Well, a good breakfast should actually have lots of complex carbohydrates rather than sugars that just give you a big sugar rush and then will dump the energy. So by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, you're craving some more sugar. Instead, you want something that really sustains you. Let's have a look at some recipes that are simple, easy to prepare and delicious that will help you and your little ones start the day with some really good, nutritious food. Now, these are called plum porridge pancakes, and it's the oats that makes them the porridgey part of the pancake. Oats are a complex carbohydrate, so will help sustain energy all the way through the morning. And it's good to get your children into oats because it'll help them enjoy porridge when they get a bit older as well. And the other big part of this recipe is fruit. You can use all kinds of different fruits. In this one I'm going to use plums, just because they're in season at the moment, but you can use any other fruit that you like. Since these are called plum porridge pancakes, let's start with the first ingredient first, which is plums. I've chosen plums because they have a slight sharpness to them that really add to the flavour of the pancakes. So we want to take the stone out, so we just simply score it all the way around the side until you fill the stone. Give it a little twist. If you're lucky, the stone will come out. If not, you might have to give it a little bit more of a go. This recipe is particularly delicious with peaches and nectarines as well as plums. So just get rid of the stone. And then you want to chop it to small pieces depending on how confident your little one is with bits. So I'm going to keep these around about sort of ½ centimetre square. So the next part of this is the porridge part, and I'm using rolled oats in this. Because I find that young children find the texture of oats a little bit too much, I'm going to mix these, I'm going to blitz these with some flour as well to make it into, if you like, an oat flour. Just use the chopping attachment from a hand blender. Pop in the oats and the flour. And this is plain flour. You can't use baking powder for a child under 12 months because it's just too high in sodium. And self-raising flour also has baking powder in it, so this is just plain white flour. So all I'm doing is just blitzing it until all of the oat flakes are a fine grain like the flour as well. Fine. Just basically put the flour and the oat mix into the bowl. The next ingredient is whole milk. I get asked a lot at what stage you can give your child whole milk. If your child is under a year, you shouldn't use whole milk as a drink on its own, but it is fine to use it in cooking because the cooking process makes milk much easier to digest. And you simply add it into the oat and flour mix, and you're just making a thick, smooth batter. Don't worry, this does make it really quite thick, but once we add an egg, you'll find that makes it a lot smoother. So that's fine. You can set that aside for a minute because now we need the egg. So just break the egg and then use a hand whisk, or if you're feeling really, you want to get the elbow grease in, you can just basically whisk it by hand. And you want to whisk it up until it's really thick. So the egg has been beaten up so it's almost double, even treble in size, and it really is like almost like a meringue, even though it's got the yolk in it. Finally, you just fold in the egg into the OT batter with the plums, and then we can get on with cooking them. You might just scatter the plums in as you go. Now I'm going to heat some butter in a pan to cook these. I'm using a non-stick pan, so you shouldn't need too much butter. But just to remind you that children can't take salt when they're under 12 months. So use unsalted butter. Keep the unsalted butter in the fridge, and it will stop you being tempted to use butter that's high in salt. Got about 15 grams of butter that I'm going to melt in here. So it's quite a runny light batter. Just use a tablespoon, a dessert spoon, to put a blob of the mix into the cooking butter. They will spread out as they hit the pan. I find these a hit with not just little toddlers, but also older kids as well, and a few grown-ups. What you want to do is keep the heat on a fairly low heat, otherwise they'll cook really quickly, and you want the egg to make sure the egg is fully cooked, so it's a gentle cook through rather than a really quick hot blast. Cook for about a minute to 2 minutes on one side, and then they should be ready just to flip over. You can just have a little check to see if they're starting to brown. If you want them to go a little bit golden brown underneath. So once they've turned over, they won't need quite so long on this side, but obviously you want to get that side cooked through and golden as well. So keep the heat as low as you can, and give it another minute, minute and a half until they're golden on both sides. Okay, so we're ready. They're nice and golden on both sides. Now, depending how hungry your little one is, 1 or 2, I'm sure will do them. If your baby is just learning to feed themselves, you'll obviously now need to allow them to cool a little and then cut them into smaller pieces. Delicious as they are just as straight pancakes, and the plums will give some juiciness to them, they're also really lovely to serve with a little bit of yogurt, or maybe just blitz some banana with some strawberries or some other fruits, and you can drizzle those over as well so that they're getting another piece of fruit towards 5 a day. And that's plum porridge pancakes. They're a favourite of mine as well.